अफसाना सुन चुका हूँ, अफसाना सुन चुका हूँ, अपने ही खामोशी 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 में रातें गुजार दी।
Hey everyone, welcome back to Life and Art with Shenpenn, myself. Tonight's show is one of my most personally awaited show. I've been excited to bring this guest on the show and talk to him. And before I get further into this, I want to introduce Mr. Cassius Khan, my brother, an amazing, amazing musician. The type of music, very rare, at least here, a lot of people might not be aware. He's an Indian classical vocalist and a renowned tabla player. And what I just learned, that he's actually the only one that combines both of them together in a performance. Cassius Khan, welcome.
Thank you so much, Shenpenn, for having me in your program. Thank you so much. It's a great honor to be involved in this great vision of yours, and we need more people like you who are able to facilitate such programs for artists and musicians like myself. Thank you so much.
I actually paid him to say that.
No, you didn't.
But anyways, I'm just going to go straight into it.
Sure.
Everybody knows, people who know your work and who knows you, they know how to find you. And I think if people want to find your music, they can just look up Cassius Khan on Google, and I'm sure a lot of music will come out.
Oh, a lot of music will come
Yeah.
out. Yes, that's right.
So I'm just going to save all that and just cut to the meat.
Sure.
So, coming from the East Indian background and being born from Fiji, living in Canada for so many years, let's talk about Zindagi, life. How has life been for you overall? I know it's a very grand question.
It's a very grand question.
But what is life like?
Life has been fantastic. I would say that, of course, every musician has their obstacles that they have to face, and they have their, challenges. Because you know very well as I do that when you are a full-time artist or musician, it's a very different life. It's not a cushy life. And there's a lot of things that you have to do, and there's a lot of you need a lot of strength. You need a lot of courage to undertake such an art. But life has been fantastic in many ways, and you can say it's bittersweet in many ways. I've had a lot of wonderful experiences. I've had a lot of not so wonderful experiences, but that's life. I mean, there's ups and downs in life, right?
Right. Yeah. So you would say, as an artist, I like to think that most artists, or at least all artists, have some form of an understanding of the pain.
Of course.
And then,
Artists need their pain.
Right.
Especially myself, I'm a ghazal singer. Ghazals are actually poetry in Urdu, and most ghazals are very sad, and they talk about love, heartbreak, and misconceptions of relationships, or whatever it is. So of course, I mean, in order for you to emulate as a vocalist these compositions, you have to have some sort of pain. If you are an extremely happy individual, and you can tell by the vocalist's voice or by the way that the poetry is rendered that this person hasn't experienced anything. But every musician, every artist has a lot of
Right.
has their experiences.
right.
in their
So
life.
to some extent, brokenness is very important.
It
I
is.
think,
Yes, of course.
for art.
Of course.
But how as we see in our society, especially in the modern world, a lot of people are suffering, right?
Of
If
course.
you look around, there's so much suffering and there's so much brokenness. But because we are conditioned in so many ways, we're indoctrinated in so many ways, that we're forced to hide our emotions, hide our vulnerabilities out of fear and all that. So as an artist, I mean, there's a special tool and a gift But how did you initially, like with your pain and all the afflictions that you had, how did you positively deal with it? How did you find the light?
I believe that music is the light at the end of the tunnel. And of course, we deal with ragas, we deal with tala, we deal with, ragas in itself, each raga has a healing power for the human soul. And of course,
Can you explain what a raga is?
Sure. A raga is, the Westerners would say a raga is like a scale, but it's actually not. In a raga, there are ascending and descending notes. So certain notes are in ascending order and certain notes are in descending order. Then you have, the identification of the raga's characteristics. So you would call that the pakar. The ascending notes is known as the avrohan. The descending notes is known as the arohan is ascending and avrohan is descending. So a raga is more like a thought process.
So what's the connection with the life and pain? Like, how do you connect those two?
Well, there are certain notes in our Indian music, which is good for the heart, the mind, the body, and the soul. It's good for everything. So, when notes are coupled in a certain way, it creates an emotion. For example, Raga Miya Ke Malhar, for example, is a raga which has to do with the monsoon season, so it would be Ma pa ni dha ni sa re pa ga ma re sa ni ma pa ni dha ni sa. So you can actually feel re pa ma pa ga ma re sa. So you can feel that, okay, this is a raga of the monsoon. And what's associated with monsoon? It's
What? Rain?
It's gloominess as well.
Yes.
Gray skies, clouds, rain, and then thunder, lightning, which is an angry part. And so there are certain characteristics in the raga which will show the thunder and the lightning. But if you look at it in another way, it has to do with yourself, your pain, your suffering. Because a lot of people, when you feel gloomy, the sky is gray. They associate those two together. And then also there's some elements of frustration or anger, and those are shown in certain notes and the way that they're intonated. So for me, it was music that allowed me to express my emotions and my feelings, and I just put everything into my music. It's not easy to talk, for example, it's never easy to speak to people or speak to even your family, for example, if you're frustrated or something like that. So music becomes a tool for you.
Right. That's amazing. Because I can relate to a lot of it in my own life. I've been through my own share of struggles and pain and tough times, and some of it I created it myself. Some of it I'm responsible. Some of it was just circumstances.
Right.
So for me, music definitely played a very big role. So now, in the absence of music, what would have happened to Cassius?
I think in the absence of music, it would have been a very different life. And it's a very good question you asked me, because it's making me think now, what would happen? Because I've never ever visualized myself without the musical aspect.
Right.
But if you take music out of the equation, then to be honest, I'm a man of many talents. I like to paint. I like to draw. I like to I love old Mercedes-Benz cars. So one of my things is when I'm away from my music, then I focus my energies on other things to calm my mind, because there are certain days, even as a musician, if I'm trying to practice a movement on my tabla, if I'm trying to practice a vocal intonation, I get very frustrated if I can't get it. So sometimes you know the feeling. So sometimes I just have to get up and I have to walk away from it and forget about it.
Right.
And this is the time where my other hobbies come into play. I love to decorate. My wife Amika always is she comes home, she's like, why is everything is different every day, right?
Yeah.
So I like to move things. I like to decorate. I like to paint. I like to draw. And then of course I'm very passionate about old diesel Mercedes-Benzes. So
Right.
I have a bunch of friends. We're like a little Mercedes-Benz club. We go over. It's like my mechanic's place. We all get together and we just talk about cars, and we polish and we do
Right.
things. So in that way, I try to focus my energies elsewhere if I feel that if I get frustrated. So if you take the musical aspect out, then I think these other aspects come in.
But I can't imagine the world without art.
Of course not. Everything that we see in the natural world is art and music.
Exactly.
Everything.
Exactly.
Right down from the blue sky, right down to the clouds, to the trees, to the flowers, to the water. And then, of course, the music that flows through. If you listen to the wind rustling through the leaves of the trees, or if you listen to how the waves crash in the ocean, or if you hear the beauty of birds singing. I mean, we're always constantly surrounded by music and art. So you're very true that it's very correct when you say that we cannot
We can't.
visualize that.
Well, I was thinking, I was imagining, and how would my life be? Because music and art and literature and poetry and like I love all of these things.
Of course, yes.
And these have actually helped me a lot, through my dark times and painful times.
Yes.
And, I've had really, really, to be entirely honest, really painful, dark moments where I have thought of, some very, very, stupid ideas. And if it wasn't for this art in our existence around us, I think I would have been long gone.
It could be very true.
Yeah.
Yes.
So when I look around and I see that there's a lot of suffering, and I see there's human beings, especially today's world, we're so digitally connected, we're so, westernized in so many ways. But I feel like there's a big disconnection in humanity. There's a big disconnection in emotions. So now, and on that note, it's like like emotions. As a man, you and us, like we're men.
Yes.
How was your construction as a man? What was a man
As a man,
to you? What does that? What
Well-
did that mean to you? And what does it mean to you now? And what it should mean tomorrow?
being a man, I think it's just it's for me it's just to be stand up, to be honest, to be honorable, to be truthful. I think those are the qualities of what I perceive to
Right.
be, whether you're a man or a woman. But it's very difficult
Yes.
because there's always a stereotype, that people expect from men. They expect them to be, emotionless and tough and, very rough around the edges or whatever they think. And of course, I grew up around, my father and my chachas and everything, my uncles. They're all very, loud and, very stand up. So, I mean, I did get the loudness in that sense, and all that, whatever. But I think it's very difficult to be this man as far as it comes to how society looks at you. Because artists, we're different. We're
Yeah.
completely different.
Yeah.
I am not afraid to shed tears. My father was not like that. He was always very strong. I'm not afraid to show my vulnerability because I'm a musician. And when we perform, we literally wear our heart on our sleeve when we perform. People see what we know. That's where we open ourselves up. As musicians, we open up our hearts to the people who are there to find solace through you.
Right.
And so it's a lot of my tougher friends, they don't get that sometimes. They're like, oh, you're so different that way. They like to call it a little bit effeminate.
Right.
But it's not anything to be, there's a lot of women out there that are very tough too. Like, if you look at Margaret Thatcher or Indira Gandhi, like they were very tough.
Yeah.
I mean, they used to make their cabinet call them sir, so it goes both ways, right?
Mhm.
So my experience that way, I mean, it's, I think a man should be well-rounded in everything. You should have emotions. You should not be able, you should not feel that you have to mask them. You should be very honest, just be, don't try to hide yourself behind layers and layers of, be sensitive, and show that. And I think it's slowly changing. I the more musicians I meet now, I see that there's a lot of emotion and they're a little bit more open now. But when I was younger, performing in folk festivals around the world, I mean, you would come across these musicians who were very brash and loud, and like I remember this one guy, throwing his guitar on the grass and walking into his trailer, like at a festival, and that really hurt me because I felt more for the instrument. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then other people didn't understand. They're like, "Oh, it's only a piece of wood." I'm like, "No." So, so in that way, it's different.
interesting you say that because obviously the reason why I asked you this or wanted to learn from you was, how as a man are you able to maintain that sensitivity and all that, and I appreciate what you shared. It's very beautiful because I was just thinking about this the other day, and I was thinking that we're going through, especially as men, I think we're living in the most fascinating, interesting times a man has ever lived in the entire history of our forefathers, because I think compared to like myself, compared to my ancestors, men, and my forefathers, I am presented the biggest challenge, with all things, and that's changing with the movements, with the way the world is. And at the same time, I feel like I'm also presented the biggest opportunity, to change or unlearn and deconstruct some of these, indoctrinations because I'll share a little something. I mean, I've always been a very alpha male kind of guy.
Okay.
Always. So in the past, wherever I went, I would not intentionally, but for some reason, I would always assume the role of a leader.
Well, that's why all the girls were hanging out with you every time I see you. It's an alpha male thing.
It is? Is it?
I
don't
so.
know. I don't know about that, but no, but I have realized, or I'm going through a realization where I feel like, the world is changing so much now around us, and especially in this society, Western world, and countries influenced by the Western world. Women are changing dramatically.
Of course, yes.
Right? Good or bad, that's a different story. But women are changing more than they have ever changed, evolved. So I am so empathetic because, at the end of the day, no matter how tough, cool, strong, muscular, powerful men we are, no matter, what it is, the portal to our existence and the portal to our emotional existence is through a woman.
Yes, of course.
Right?
Yes.
So that I'm beginning to understand that myself lately. And I look around and I see a lot of my girlfriends, like, I have lots of female friends too. And I see them becoming, for a lack of a better word, tougher.
Yes, of course.
Now, a lot of women are becoming tougher. They're becoming a lot more emotionally unavailable. And I feel like that could be detrimental to humanity, not just for men, women, but to everyone. So I was talking to some of my guy friends and I was saying, maybe it's not the women that needs to be tougher. Maybe it's us guys that needs to soften up.
Well, it could be, yes.
We need to be softer. We need to be more sensitive because I think the femininity is so important. Right?
It is.
Because you as a musician, that's a very, it's a.
Well, as a musician, you have to show both the masculine and the feminine qualities because you have to be well-rounded.
One of the reasons why I'm doing this show, I'd like all the viewers to know, is not because I have the answers. I was telling some of my friends, the reason why I'm doing this show is actually I don't have the answers. But I know one thing for sure, that us opening up to each other and being vulnerable and talking, this might help. So on that note, you were talking about, unlocking.
Yes.
Unlocking. So I hope this episode with the amazing Cassius Khan will help you guys unlock some of that humanity in you and introspect. And my only aspiration is, for this to help people who are going through dark times and who are going through pain. I think my message is that, you're not alone and you're not inadequate. There's millions around you. Everyone is emotionally similar. So
Yes.
I think it's important to, like Cassius said, take care of yourself, introspect, go deep, and find your own art and your own expression, and just go crazy with it. And on that note, I thank you very much for talking to me today.
Thank you so
Seriously,
much.
Thank you so much. And I think now to have some pleasure for our viewers and for myself and our ears, we're gonna listen to and watch Cassius Khan play his tabla and play us a tune, and he's going to be joined by his beautiful, wonderful wife Amika on the harmonium. Peace.
Harmonium! Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was
Okay, alright, sir.
We're rolling.
Yeah, bud.
चुका अफसाना सुन चुका अपने ही खामोशी 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 में रातें गुजार दी लर्जिश हो रही है लर्जिश हो रही है आलम की पुरफ़िज़ा में आलम की पुरफ़िज़ा में आलम की पुरफ़िज़ा में लर्ज़िश हो रही है लर्ज़िश हो रही है लर्ज़िश हो रही है क्या बात है आलम की पुरफ़िज़ा में रोता है कोई बेकस रोता है कोई बेकस शायद के Done. How's that?
Very nice, Amos. Beautifully played.
Okay, so